Hi folks, how you doing? I'm Ross Minton, this is Grow Your Own Life. I hope you're all keeping well. It's 2024 and I thought I'd try a new thing on the channel. Grow Your Own Life was all started and all created. The idea behind it was to encourage disabled people and people who have locked themselves away inside to get out and about and to grow their own lives. Get outside, go visit someplace or go grow something. That was kind of the fag packet planning for my channel. Anyway, over the last few months I've looked at the channel and I've thought about what I want to do with it, and one of the things I would like to do is probably a monthly, maybe even a fortnightly eventually news section about gardening, allotment and environmental news and things that as gardeners, growers and nature lovers that we probably need to be aware of, or just things that we might be interested in. So hopefully this is the first one. It might not go smoothly, but hopefully this will be a nice little feature that we can all enjoy going forward. So today I'm in the Fighting Cocks in Oakengates in Telford in Shropshire. So if ever you're in this neck of the woods, please pop into the Fighting Cocks and say hello and order a pint and a pork pie or something, because we've got to look after pubs, haven't we? And we've particularly got to look after good pubs. So I'll get straight to it, shall we? Well, straight to it after that 2-minute intro. Right, so one of the first things I saw in the news lately was how since leaving the EU, and by the way, this is not a knock for Brexit or anything else, I just want to highlight the facts. Since leaving the EU, the government's policies regarding environmental laws, for example, one of the ones that concerns me the most is hedgerows. Since 2005 to 2023, farms, landowners, anyone in the country could only cut their hedges at certain points of the year. You know, for instance, you can't cut the hedge when the birds are mating or nesting. So normally most of the hedge work goes on between, I think it's November, October through to February time, and then there's no hedge cutting. And also as part of the subsidies that farmers used to have and landowners used to have, they weren't allowed to plough within 2 metres of a hedge, and this was to help nature really, excuse me, to help voles, hedgehogs and everything else, and obviously the birds. And the whole idea was it was to create a boundary around fields and land where wildlife could still thrive, even though it was in an agricultural or a commercial setting. Since leaving the EU, although we were promised that all these laws would be written into English law, they have not been written in yet. So this is the first year, as of the 31st of December 2023, so 2024 will be the first full year where farmers and landowners can basically cut and rip out hedges willy-nilly whenever they want. They can also plough right up to trees and hedgerows, because that's no longer, I believe, by the way, please look into this yourself, but I no longer believe any of that's written into law, because obviously we're outside the EU. And even in the last 5 years, even with all of that put into place, we've seen an 8% decline in bird species, and it's just getting worse. And obviously once we start ripping out hedgerows and cutting hedgerows when birds are nesting, it's gonna get worse. And it's pretty shocking, really. I find it difficult to understand how we were promised that these laws would be written into English law and they haven't been, and it's just a bit of a disappointment. So to anyone out there, if you like hedges and you like nature, you might have to keep an eye out, because in your local area the gloves are off and landowners can sadly now do whatever they want, and you're going to have a hard time stopping them ripping out hedges and trees. I'm not saying you shouldn't keep up the good fight, but it's going to be a hard one to win now. The second thing I'd like to talk about is that the bee-killing pesticides that contain, I can never say the word, neonicotinoid, I can never pronounce it, you'll know the one anyway. The bee-killing pesticide, which has been banned in Europe now for several years, and last year was authorised by the UK government to be used on an emergency basis, has been authorised to be used again. So this is a pesticide that is, I believe it's known to cause cancers and other things in humans, as well as the fact obviously it kills bees and other insects in their billions. Billions. So the emergency legislation that was put out last year to allow British Sugar, one of the biggest users of it, this pesticide, to do it in 2023, has been reacted again. So actually, British Sugar and other people who apply can continue to use this bee killing pesticide that is outlawed in most places. The Wildlife Trust has come out and said it's a death blow to wildlife. And it's a betrayal to farmers who have already switched to farming more sustainably. There's a great number of really good farmers out there, and they're to be praised. And these farmers have put time and their own money into developing sustainable farms, and they've moved away from agriculture into a more permaculture, environmentally conscious way of farming. And our government is now basically backtracking on all that. So if you're one of the farmers who have done the right thing, and you've made your farm more sustainable, and you're no longer using these pesticides, you've now got to compete with people on the market who are using these pesticides, and they then can produce food cheaper than you. It's a shame, really. It's shocking that it's come to this in 2024. But just to reiterate, once again, the bee-killing pesticide that was banned all across Europe has been made legal to be used again in the UK for 2024. Now, some of you may know that on my allotment site over the last few years, I've been going to meetings and stuff with the council to try and have rules and things changed to be more environmentally friendly. And to be fair, it's taken a battle, but finally we've got there, and the council have put in some really good rules. And so then when you turn on the news and you see things like our government, which basically, because we pulled out of the EU now, and because they haven't done anything to rewrite any of the wildlife protection laws, we now have a situation in this country where 36 pesticides that are banned in the EU are now not outlawed. I'm not saying they're legal. I'm not a lawyer. Please don't take me for this, but they are not outlawed anymore. And that's just mad. That I'm not saying it gives people the green light, but it also makes people think that if they've got these pesticides lying around, that they can now probably use them. 85% of the UK's environmental laws were derived from the EU, and we haven't yet put them back into English law, UK British law. And without those being in law, it basically makes it very hard for people like me and yourself to go to councils and landowners and say, you're doing the wrong thing here. And our government needs to act. I mean, we all know it's been far too long now, but 2024, and we're going over the old ground that we really and truthfully went over in the late 90s, early noughties, and it's becoming a bit pathetic to say the least. So I don't know what you think about all this. This is obviously the first insight into grow your own life, environmental news or gardening news. But I think considering it's January, considering it's the start of the year, and considering we're all about to get all excited for sowing seeds and getting out in nature, and there's nothing nicer than sitting on your allotment and listening to the songbirds and watching the bees and butterflies fly around. I think that's probably why we all go gardening, and that's why we all love nature so much. But then to know that you live in a country where we are essentially poisoning these creatures that we love so dearly is very disheartening and very saddening. So I don't know what you can do other than write to your MP, write to your councillors, and write to the Prime Minister, I suppose, and say, please, 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 let's get some UK environmental laws in statute on the books, written down, so we all know where we stand. Because it is sad that we have to keep going over this over and over again. And we've known since the 60s there's a problem with pesticides. I think the UK has lost about 70 to 80% of its insect life since the 1970s. So it's about time that the adults in the room stood tall and did some serious joined up thinking, really. So yeah, that's where I am. Right, folks. Hope you've enjoyed that. I'm sure it's a bit ranty. I'm sure this will change over time. But they are just a few stories that I'd seen in the news over the last few weeks that I thought it was worth talking about and worth discussing. So please let me know what you think. And also, if you've seen anything going on in your local area or nationally that you think needs discussing, please get in touch. Drop me a comment, find me on Instagram or Threads or even Facebook, and send me a message, and we'll get people talking about it. So until next time, folks, take care. Speak soon. Hi folks, in case you were wondering, today's beer was Rowton Meteorite. It's a wonderful beer, to be fair. It's a proper old school pint of bitter, almost a bit like a mild, I suppose, in some kind of ways. It's a lovely golden, quite aromatic, fruity beer. And I got to be honest, whenever I'm in a Rowton pub, I tend to always have a pint of Meteorite. So if you're in Shropshire, check them out.